interesting sports topics,
Oh yeah.
surprises, new and exciting conversation. Let's get right into it, man. I want
Okay.
to talk first about this Mike Malone situation in Denver. He was fired this week. Him and was it Calvin Booth,
Yeah. The
the
GM.
general manager. They were terminated this week. I have many thoughts about that, but as usual, I'll defer to you. I'll take your thoughts first, and then I'll give you mine.
Uh Man, well, I think like everybody it was a shocker out of nowhere.
Absolutely.
I guess apparently Malone and ownership, had a lot of friction going back a couple years, I guess.
Yeah.
They're saying the championship in 2023 actually bought them some time. Again, that was news to me.
Oh wow.
I thought it was just like the progression that their team was going, going back to the bubble. They
Yeah.
were kind of showing signs that they were, turning into legit contenders. And then,
Absolutely.
they finished it off, 2 years ago. So, yeah, man. But I thought about that and even going so far as back to Vogel. Like, what's up with these coaches like getting fired after winning? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? You got
Yeah.
Vogel in LA,
Mm-hmm.
um, Budenholzer in Milwaukee.
Yep.
Uh, after his brother died,
Yeah.
and you know what I'm saying. And now Mike Malone being the latest casualty, and then in between that, um, Mike Brown
Yeah.
on a championship coaching staff and has had some significant,
Yes.
individual
Successes.
success as
Absolutely.
a head coach. You know, it I'm
The
I
Pistons' current head coach, JB Bickerstaff,
yeah,
fired
JB Bickerstaff
unceremoniously
in
last
Cleveland.
year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, Taylor Jenkins this year.
Taylor Jenkins this year. Yeah, I was
Hmm.
going to get to that, but see how quick it turned into what's that like 8 coaches?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Right.
So um as we were getting ready, prepping for the show, I was thinking about this particular subject, and I'm like, is this kind of turning into like a full blown like player versus management, ownership,
Yeah.
like tug of war
Right.
type of deal? I know it's collective bargaining agreement negotiations are coming up soon, and
I had a similar thought.
it's a lot of flexing.
Yeah.
We can probably talk later about the whole Luca situation,
Correct.
but it's been a lot of seismic, um, front office activity going on, and late in the season.
Right.
Late in the season too, when you talk Taylor Jenkins, and then of course
Mm.
Mike Malone.
Right.
So I think it's a sign of something bigger. Um, if we're going macro,
Right.
micro in terms of the Denver Nuggets. Again, I heard that it was some friction up top, but also now they were saying that it was some players having a problem with Malone giving preferential treatment to Joker and Murray, and then this year, I guess the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of the locker room
Yeah.
was he was showing that treatment to Russell Westbrook.
Ah.
So
Okay.
like the temperament was kind of like on some, okay, we get it. You kind of not riding Joker and Murray. These are your horses. This who you
Correct.
won with.
Correct.
But Westbrook, no, he's new here, and so it's a lot of things. Of course, after someone gets fired, all the dirty laundry and all it comes out. So,
Right.
but yeah, I think like I said, macro, I think it's it may be leaning towards that power struggle between player, what they call it, player empowerment.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the new well, not the new term, but let's just say the last 10, 15 years,
Right.
player empowerment versus ownership, and what they can control. And
Right.
then in terms of the micro with the Denver Nugget roster, I guess it was how his coaching style, because he's old school.
Yeah. Very much so.
Mike Malone's kid.
Right.
His pops was one of Chuck Daly's assistants,
Yeah.
so that's about it.
Brendan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Brendan. Yeah,
Brendan Malone.
Brendan's son. I'm
Hmm.
sorry. Yeah, that's about as old school as it gets. So
Absolutely.
that type of coaching style can wear thin, I think, with today's type of player.
Sure.
So I think it was a combination of those things on the in terms of the squad.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree a lot of with what you said. And just from a philosophical standpoint,
Hmm.
like I like to journal a couple of times a week. I would like to do it every day, but time does not permit. But always write this phrase. It's called the myth of everything.
Okay.
And what that means is that I think that one of the things that's perpetuated in today's society across a lot of different a lot of different aspects of life, right,
Hmm.
is the myth that you can get everything that you want out of anything,
Mm.
when in reality we know that life is a series of trade-offs, right?
Mm.
In reality you can make a lot of money, but you probably not going to have a lot of time,
Right.
or you can have a lot of time,
And not a
but
lot of money.
but you're probably not going to have a lot of money, right? So life is a series of trade-offs.